フォンテーヌ邸決闘代理人。
雨降る風の中、ふるさとを思う。拙者と故郷のつながりはもうこの刀のみでござる。超えなきゃいけないさ。これほど美しき景色を見ればおのずと旅がしたくなるものであろう。
潔白を証明する時だ。蒼天、これは必要な武力だ。
炎の盾、助立ちさん。
黒き翼よ、邪悪を狩り撃つ。影を撃つ。
強戦、ここか。
みんなを守るからね。影のカラスが
理論の演劇。お嬢様の仰せのままに。文庫。
答えなさい。姿を見せよ。断罪。怖くない。
ごめん、ちょっとどいてくれる？せい。はっ。それ。
黒 き翼よ。踊ろう。動かないでね。
アクバルのありし栄光よ。せいはっやっはっそれそれやっ
お嬢様の仰せのままに。
行け。頼むよこれアパ。ゆえ。
行こう。
みんなは俺が
風よ権限
かかれ。終わりね。撤収。
いざせい
せいいってくらいせいやったちょっやっ
王な運認めはしない。
聞いてくれろ。もみちる散らまく惜しみ風よ
ダメ。
燃えろくらい 燃えろ。みんなは俺が守る。貫こう。くらえ。
いただく
私の誠意を
急がなくてもいいのよ。
自然な体制。暖炉の火が消えた。 よし出発だ。みんながそばに
かかれ糸よ工作せよ。
燃えろ。
前方に注意。
せいはっ。
風の歌雲の行く分
いや
相手を間違えたな。
急がなくてもいいのよ。
またしても無礼を。
痛がっちゃ嫌よ。急がなくてもいいのよ。急がなくてもいいのよ。
永遠な。いや
まだ
燃えろ。
急がなくてもいいのよ。 急がなくてもいいのよと急がなくてもいいのよ
どうか私のせいよ。
よっ捕まえた
事前の対策
急がなくてもいいのよ
よっ。
バーベキューの時間動け。
キャックみんながそばにいてくれるわ。マイ
糸よ工作せよ
ここより登る。
Hello and welcome to my channel, I Win to Lose Game. A germaphobe's favorite holiday aside, many of us, like a certain button, have been hanging on for dear life. Hanging on to every last strands of Primo Gems for Clorinde's highly anticipated release. I personally really appreciate her soft spoken insane gunslinging playstyle. You've got to have a few screws loose, like this guy, if you decide to duel her instead of just chilling with Risley and the boys in Meropide. My Clorinde is using the 4-piece fragment of Harmonic Whimsy for most of the showcases, and here and there she's using the 4-piece Thundering Fury. She's using the free-to-play friendly craftable sword, the finale of the Deep at Refinement 5. She's of course at Constellation 0 throughout this entire video, and her talents are at 6, 10, and 10. We'll go through her entire kit, combos, and quirks, aggravate and over... Clorinde Clorinde enters Night Vigil state, where her basic attack is replaced with pistolette shots, and tapping the skill button will have her use Impale the Knight. Okay, now this might seem underwhelming at first, but stay with me. We weren't utilizing a core passive of hers, Dark Shattering Flame.
争点
Yeah, just like that, after implementing this passive, the Regisvine is already cooked. Anyway, by simply doing any 3 electro reactions with literally any character on the team, and in this example 3 overloadeds, Clorinde deals more than double the damage than if she had 0 stacks. More specifically, each electro reaction adds 20% of her attack, up to 3 stacks, to every hit during Night Vigil state, up to 1800 flat damage maximum. For most situations, this effectively adds 60% multiplier to all these multipliers you see on her elemental skill. However, you can reach the 1800 flat damage cap here if she reaches 3000 attack. Anyway, considering this passive is trivial to activate in any team of hers, moving forward I will showcase her with 3 stacks on this passive. Let's also talk about all these different multipliers. These 5 Bond of Life. And when she's at or above 100 Bond of Life, Clorinde's weaker pistolette shots, or I guess just P shots, won't pierce and will use this slightly smaller multiplier and also won't generate any Bond of Life. So in other words, Clorinde is highly incentivized to focus on using PP shots while she's under 100 Bond of Life. Now why does Clorinde care about Bond of Life? Well, that's where her skill during her skill, Impale the Knight, comes into play. Clorinde has 3 versions of Impale the Knight, and since Hoyoverse didn't assign any names to them, I'll name them myself. First we have the Micro Impale.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Then the Mid Impale. And then the Magnum Impale. Her Micro Impale is when she has 0 Bond of Life and feels very soft and flimsy when it impales the enemy. The Micro Impale is, however, useful for rapidly moving around and to reposition her. As for the Mid Impale, which is when Clorinde has 1 to 99% Bond of Life, the enemy can feel it just a bit more than the Micro Impale, albeit barely. The Mid Impale also removes her Bond of Life and heals her for a very small amount based on that Bond of Life. We can see here that the Mid Impale did 10,041 damage and provided a pathetic 270 heal from the 35% Bond of Life that she had. Sometimes you're forced to settle with the Mid Impale, as it's generally done by accident. And finally, we have her Magnum Impale. When she has 100 or more Bond of Life, the Magnum Impale is the most painful, hitting 3 times and dealing 329% total multiplier while under 3000 attack with 3 stacks on her passive. Terms and conditions may apply. Please see your doctor if your Magnum Impale lasts for longer than 3 hours. Magnum Impaling also heals her the most. As we can see, the Magnum Impale did 22,482 total damage and provided 2,025 healing, completely overshadowing the performance of the other Impales. Some more properties of her Night Vigil state is that she cannot be healed, and instead healing is converted to Bond of Life. Sadly, Clorinde doesn't have much endurance, and her Night Vigil state only lasts for 7.5 seconds, and it has a rather long 16-second cooldown. But fortunately, it ends up not being too bad. Since her burst has a long 2-second animation, this effectively leads to Clorinde having around 6.5 seconds of downtime, which is a good amount of time for your supports and stuff to do their thing. And her Electro Infusion during night visual state cannot be overridden, and swapping her out also cancels her night visual state. All the pistolet shots and variously sized impales also count as normal attack damage, and they all have standard ICD. In my initial observations, I believe she generates 4 electroparticles during her night visual duration. Alright, and if you thought any of that stuff above was important, well, defenestrate all that junk, because by far the most important part of her skill is that she deals a tiny bit of Usha damage. Well, after all that, we can finally move on to her elemental burst, last Lightfall.
潔白を証明する時だ
Last Lightfall is also affected by her passive 1, and thus each hit gains 60% attack thanks to this passive. As such, after a very flashy animation, she deals a massive 280.4% times 5, which equals 1,442% multiplier, making her burst absolutely worth gunning for. Her burst also gives her a hefty amount of Bond of Life, with talent level 7+ providing over 100% Bond of Life, so that way she can immediately start her night visual state with a Magnum Impale.
射撃準備
And her burst costs 60 energy with a 15-second cooldown and has standard ICD. And if you thought all that was great, oh no, we still have Clorinde's second passive. Clorinde goes from 80% healing to Bond of Life conversion to 100% conversion. Okay, seriously, why is this even here? More importantly, Clorinde gains 10% crit rate for 15 seconds when she's at 100% Bond of Life or higher, and her Bond of Life then changes. And this can stack up to twice for 20% crit rate. Yes, this sounds a bit confusing at first, but basically this effectively adds 20% crit rate most of the time. This passive combined with her 19.2% crit rate ascension and 5% base crit rate means that she basically has 44.2% crit rate right out of the box, which is honestly quite insane. Now that we've finally gone through her whole kit, except for her exploration passive which reveals resources unique to Fontaine on the minimap, let's see it all in action against our Regis fine friend.
悪を見極め影を刈り尽くす
子供たちは今頃どうしているだろうか。まあ、好きにすればいい。
じゃあ悪を刈り打つ影を打つ
Now that we know all this about her PP shots, input NNNE over and over while she's in night visual state. One quirk about this combo is that the third N comes out very fast, so it'll take some practice to properly time her Magnum Impale. If you start off with her burst, she'll start with over 100 Bond of Life. This actually allows you to start her night vigil with a Magnum Impale, and you can follow that up with 6 N3E combos for 7 total Magnum Impales. Also, her Magnum Impale make nice sounding notes to help you get into the rhythm of her NNE combo.
落ちる権限
So yeah, while 7 Magnum Impales is possible to fit into her skill's duration, in actual combat this is actually very difficult to do, and you'll generally perform 6 Magnum Impales. But wait! Clorinde is quite a unique character. Her Impale doesn't auto-target as much as most abilities in this game. If you don't press any direction, she will generally auto-target, but you can actually press a directional key to have her impale towards the direction that you're pressing. This helps massively with positioning her to then penetrate even more enemies. Clorinde also has a very unique interaction with the incoming healing bonus stat. Due to some nerdy math stuff, incoming healing bonus increases the amount she heals herself by an insane amount. With just 20% incoming healing bonus from the 4-piece Maiden's Beloved, Clorinde went from 2025 self-heal with a Magnum Impale to 6,481 self-heal, over 3 times the healing. We can finally make good use of Furina's healing bonus that she provides. If you want a full explanation, I'm sure someone will explain it down in the comments below.
手元に歯があるのなら
Phew, we've
拙者が
light.
サブウェイで
This
一
actually
曲
allows
奏で
you
よう
to start. Let's talk about her combos. Basically,
悪を見極め影を狩り
Now that we've finally gone through her whole kit, except for her exploration passive which reveals resources unique to Fontaine.
邪悪を狩り撃つ影を撃つ
Now that we know all this about her PP shots, magnum impales, and burst, let's talk about her combos. Basically, she wants to pump out 3 PP shots for each magnum impale. Just input N over and over while she's in night vigil state. One quirk about this combo is that the third N comes out very fast, so it'll take some practice to properly time her magnum impale. If you start off with her burst, she'll start with over 100 bond of life. This actually allows you to start her night vigil with a magnum impale, and you can follow that up with 6 and 3E combos for 7 total magnum impales. Also, her magnum impales make nice sounding notes to help you get into the rhythm of her N and NE combos.
邪悪を狩り撃つ影を撃つ
So yeah, while 7 magnum impales is possible to fit into her skill's duration, in actual combat this is actually very difficult to do, and you'll generally perform 6 magnum impales. But wait, that's not all. Clorinde is quite a unique character. Her impale doesn't auto-target as much as most abilities in this game. If you don't press any direction, she will generally auto-target, but you can actually press a directional key to have her impale towards the direction that you're pressing. This helps massively with positioning her to then penetrate even more enemies. Clorinde also has a very unique interaction with the incoming healing bonus stat. Due to some nerdy math stuff, incoming healing bonus increases the amount she heals herself by an insane amount. With just 20% incoming healing bonus from the 4-piece Maiden's Beloved, Clorinde went from 2025 self-heal with a Magnum Impale to 6,481 self-heal, over 3 times the healing. We can finally make good use of Furina's healing bonus that she provides. If you want a full explanation, I'm sure someone will explain it down in the comments below. Phew, we finally, for real this time, penetrated past her entire kit. Let's polish off that pistol to see how good Clorinde is at impaling a much thicker opponent, the robot chicken.
潔白を証明
雨降る風の中
射撃準備
ふるさと拙者と故郷のつながりはもうこの刀のみでござる。
行くぞ影を撃つ悪を見極め影を狩り尽くす
I did use Dea here to allow for some overloaded reactions to maintain Clorinde's passive 1, as well as to make it a bit easier to perform the 7 Magnum Impale combo. As we can see, Clorinde is able to 2-cycle the robot chicken with her raw electro damage and the harmonic whimsy set. However, we all know that raw electro damage isn't why we're interested in her. Starting with this free-to-play friendly Aggravate team with the Thundering Fury artifact set.
はびこれ芽生えよ姿を見せよ安全距離確認嘘
悪を見極め影を狩り尽くす射撃準備
Clorinde plus Fischl plus Aggravate is a match made in heaven, as every single Aggravate will activate Fischl's second passive, which just leads to an insane amount of Aggravates. As we can see, the robot chicken stood absolutely no chance against this free-to-play friendly Aggravate team. Another surprisingly good team with Clorinde is this Overloaded team.
動くな
影のカラスが
潔白を証明する時だ
A big weakness of Clorinde is how she's easily interrupted. However, Toma provides a solid amount of anti-interrupt resistance, and he also happens to provide a small 15% damage buff to her basic attacks at Constellation 6. Now do note that my Chevreuse is at Constellation 6, so that does help this team out, but this team is still a very solid team regardless, even at lower constellations. I also tried many other teams, and whale alert, for these showcases in the background, these are more of proof of concepts than an actual demonstration of Clorinde's performance in these teams. Because my Nahida's at Constellation 2, my Furina's at Constellation 3, my Kazuha's at Constellation 2, these teams are overperforming. Still, these are all great characters to use with Clorinde, and you can expect significantly more power level than even my earlier free-to-play friendly Aggravate team.
邪悪を狩り打つ
雨降る風の中ふるさと
Now let's take a look at a performance in the current Abyss 12 with both the free-to-play friendly Aggravate team and the overloaded team from earlier while I yap about Clorinde's pros and cons. Clorinde is a pretty unique DPS character. On average per rotation she can recover roughly 60% of her max health. This makes her a surprisingly sustainable DPS character, even without a healer on her team. As we can see in this free-to-play friendly team, the prototype Amber on Sucrose is more than enough to help her teammates stay alive since they rarely spend much time on the field. And while I did actually die a few times while I was trying this, after a few tries, Clorinde was able to pierce through thanks to her self-healing through her Magnum Impales. Clorinde's high mobility also allowed me to dodge many attacks as well, such as the dancing robot's wind blades, which are quite dangerous but very dodgeable thanks to her high mobility during her skill. Now unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, she is very easily interrupted as her kit has no built-in resistance to interruption, and as such she's largely relying on her mobility to maneuver around attacks, and this can actually cause you to whiff some of your Magnum Impales. Clorinde also feels like she needs a lot more skill expression from an execution and positioning perspective, as to get the most out of her damage, she really needs to avoid getting interrupted, position herself correctly to pierce enemies with her PP shots and Magnum Impales, and ideally she can output 7 Magnum Impales in a rotation. All these optimizations allow for much more skill expression than usual when using her. Now interestingly, I did find the overloaded team to be significantly more comfortable in the current top half of Abyss 12 than the free-to-play Aggravate team. The overloadeds provided easy resistance shred against all the enemies without needing to swap on and off Dendro Traveler, and Toma Shield is a huge quality of life improvement, as it effectively makes her unflinchable for pretty much most situations. Also, the current enemies in the top half of Abyss 12 aren't too affected by overloaded's knockback, although Clorinde probably has the ability to chase down enemies being overloaded away regardless. Also, her raw electro damage output is very significant, outputting around 4,000% damage multiplier during her night visual window, and 1,442% from her elemental burst. These are some pretty chunky multipliers, and it's why she still feels great on an overloaded team. While the single target damage of this team is likely significantly lower because of Fischl's significant too much taking damage on Clorinde since she is able to heal 60% of her health per rotation. This allows for team comps like Clorinde, Fischl, Kazuha, and Nahida to be viable and will catapult her damage output. One last thing to note is that besides this goofy nuke showcase where I use Bennett, she doesn't really have great synergy with attack buffers like Bennett, as any amount of attack over 3,000 is significantly less impactful to her damage output. Of course, this does depend on the weapon you're using, since certain weapons like the Finale Deep just provide her a boatload of attack. Let's not even mention the issues of circle impact with Bennett's kit, so yeah. Anyway, overall I think Clorinde is an extremely fun and fast-paced electro DPS character. She also feels reasonably powerful, although not broken. And if you like what you see here and feel like you can control her well, then you probably won't be disappointed. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Went to Lose, signing out.
雨降る風の中ふるさとを思う拙者と故郷のつながりはもうこの刀のみでござる 風の流れる方へ。いざ
全力攻撃。
参る。
痛がっちゃいない。糸よ、工作せよ。
雲の
やっ
凡庸だね。ここより登る。
みんながそばにいてくれるわ。傷なんて痛まない。
視力も成長。影を狙い剣を振るう。
公女の名のもとに。
これほどフォンテーヌが恋しくなる日が来ようとは。
また見識を広め。痛くしちゃうかも。
射撃準備。悪を見極め影を刈り尽くす。
参る。
姿を
風よ。
はびこりなさい。
邪悪を狩り撃つ。それ。はっせいはっていふっ
当店。
かつて天空には永